boosting self-worth, steps to recognize your value. I think this is a really, really important conversation to have because sometimes we can get caught up with judging our self-worth based upon what we think other people think of us or expect of us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And well, even that thinking about comparison is
Yeah,
maybe that's tip number one is
yes, watch your comparisons.
watch your comparisons, because it's okay to see people, but also not go, oh, they're doing that, I should have done that, or I could have done that, or why did they get the opportunity over me? The ugly side, and I'm going to say the ugly side of comparisons. Because it's okay to look at someone and go, okay, oh wow, they're doing that. That's pretty awesome. Wow, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah,
But
and
not the
celebrate it.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, dear listeners. Welcome, dear Deb.
hello.
Hello, my dear. Welcome to another one of our deliciously motivated mindset podcast conversations. And OMG, we have a good one today.
Mm-mm.
We're going to talk all about boosting self-worth. And I don't know about you, but this is a conversation that kind of sneaks in so often where you think you're talking about one thing, and when you unpack it, it's actually worthiness underneath worthiness. It's such a
Surprise.
yes. So we're going to talk about boosting self-worth and giving you steps to recognize your value, because the truth is we all have huge value. Such an important reminder. But dear listeners, before we get into our conversation, before we start, and we encourage you to get a note-taking device of your choosing, but before we get into our conversation, we like to do what we call our PEMS check-in, checking in physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And what we're doing is this is a self-assessment, checking in with ourselves on a scale of 0 to 10. At 0, you're totally calm, peaceful. We call it 0 for Zen. And feeling, present and engaged and soothed and ready for what's coming next. And
Yeah,
at
like that.
10,
Ready for what's coming next. Do we know?
yeah, we never know. But you see, there's a sense of trust there at 0
Yeah,
too, wouldn't you say?
totally.
So it's just like I said, it's checking in. How is your physical body? How are you feeling emotionally? What's going on in your head? And how's your connection to your sense of higher self or source energy or whatever that is for you? And the truth is we move up and down that scale. Oh, 10 is where you're discombobulated, crazy making, thinking, feeling stuck and panicky, all that kind of fun stuff.
I shake my head as you're going 10, going, yep, I know that one. I know that
Yes,
one.
we all do. And so here's the thing is we're not going to get into a big story about what's going on. It's just have a wee peek at what's the number, and then we just let go and carry on with the conversation. We encourage you to have a little check-in with yourself at our halfway point, and then we're all going to check in at the end. Of course, Deb and I, our intention with these conversations is to meet you wherever you are, whatever number you are on that scale, and gently, kindly, inspiringly ease you towards that 0. All that being said, where are you on that scale of 0 to 10?
A 1.5.
Oh, well, snap. I'd written
No.
down a 1.5 for myself already.
Jinx, that often happens, people.
It does. It does. Yeah, I got just a little husky, throaty thing going on, and I think that's what's
Same.
going on. Yeah. It's
You
like,
keep seeing me mute. I'm like, I'm like, what's going on? Where that wasn't there before when we chatted for half an hour before we hit record. I'm like,
I know.
Yeah.
And sometimes those kind of things come up energetically for me just because it's kind of like, oh, I need to attend to or ensure that certain energies or
To
ideas
move
come into
something
the
going on.
conversation. So
Yeah.
so that's it. So both of us are at a 1.5. And like I said, we encourage you to check in with yourself halfway through, and then we'll all assess where we are at the end. But boosting self-worth, steps to recognize your value. I think this is a really, really important conversation to have because sometimes we can get caught up with judging our self-worth based upon what we think other people think of us or expect of us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And well, even that thinking about comparison is
Yeah,
maybe that's tip number one is
yes, watch your comparisons.
watch your comparisons, because it's okay to see people, but also not go, oh, they're doing that, I should have done that, or I could have done that, or why did they get the opportunity over me? The ugly side, and I'm going to say the ugly side of comparisons. Because it's okay to look at someone and go, okay, oh wow, they're doing that. That's pretty awesome. Wow, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah,
But
and
not the
celebrate it.
yeah, but not the jealousy, the dark hole, the dark web that you can go down with that. But I
Well,
think comparing, definitely have a look. But if you find you're going on to hamster wheel tangent,
mhm,
then pull yourself off before you fall off.
definitely. And it's something that I love that this is where we started it in at with this one because comparison, when we see something in another person that we say, oh, I should have that, or I would love to get to that level of success or that level of accomplishment.
Mm.
It's really important to recognize that if you see something and you would like to have that, you have it within you. And that's actually a really important recognition to
Mm.
recognize your value. So if you see something that you value or that you perhaps aspire to in another, it's telling you it's possible for you. It is already within you. Such an important piece rather than go sliding down what you were just talking about the when you start using that as a source to beat yourself up. There's something
Mm.
wrong with me because I've not got that, or they're better than me because blah, blah, blah.
Well,
Right?
it's that old saying, if you spot it, you got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even and I love that you've said that, because one of the things is, if you spot that somebody is so creative and they can do this and this, and they're an embroidery, and you just
Hmm.
like are going, wow, look how they do that. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Look at where to find what it is, and look where you've got that creativity. You might
Yes.
have it in getting your kids in the car.
Yeah. Or making an apple
You
pie.
might, yeah, or cooking,
Yeah.
or so we all have the bigger picture of that, but yours may not be crocheting or
Mhm.
um doing that. And I just say crocheting. I remember when I was because my mum said to me, where did these come from? And when I had Sophie, it was, what are the embroidery, and they have like teddies, and they have the wool, and you had to do that. And Mum's like, I don't remember you ever doing that. I love that, Mum. She's like, oh, that's the creative side of you. I've never seen that before. I was like, I'm creative, just in different ways, not just embroidery. I'm creative, but it's finding what that creativity means to you. And
Yes.
that could be finding vegetables to put into your food for the kids, being creative
Yeah.
that way, or it can be seeing an eye for detail. It's what's creative to you. And one of the things that Moira and I are exceptionally good at, which are our creativity, is you can tell us a problem and we have a solution straight there, right there. We're so quick in our heads to
Yep.
go, we know what that could do, what we could do with that. So we're creative in those ways, and we're other creativity
We are.
ways, but
Yes.
but that's it. So ensure, if you spot it, you got it. Find out where it is relevant to you.
Yep.
Just shifts that whole comparison around.
Relevant to you is that's such a fundamental, important piece to recognize your value. That's what this is about, is that, and I love how you just described that. Just because you can see, let's say you see somebody, playing a masterpiece on the piano and you go, wow, that's just so amazing. It lights me up. Just makes me feel so calm and lit up, and I could never do something like that. Well, no, maybe not. But you will be creative to that level in your own zone of genius. So maybe that's part of it, is that when you see something that you really go, wow, that's so amazing, is have a look at your zone of genius to recognize you are of the same caliber in value, in contribution to the collective, in creative flow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, see, as soon as you can even just see where you've got that, your whole value goes up. You're no longer in the pit going, oh, I don't have that, I'm no good, da da da, and the stories run rampant, but actually going, oh, I'm good at that. Wow. The shoulders instantly go back, like, oh, who would have thought? Giggle, giggle, giggle. And the funny part about that is when you say that and you share that with someone, they're like, yeah, you are really good at that. And you're like, oh, okay, right. Everyone else sees it. I didn't see this until listening to this podcast. But it is that. Find what's relative to you. Yeah.
That's actually something that I think is really important, is sometimes when we cannot recognize our value, it's very, very important to then start paying attention to what people say to you. That's a perfect example. Like, people say to you, oh, you're great at that. Or I know for myself, the amount of times that people will say something to me, words to the effect of, Moira, you always make things feel peaceful and calm and make so much sense. It took a long time for me to be able to say that is my gift, because I don't think about it. It's just
and people ask you questions around your gift, and they talk to you, and you light up. And you just you talked about something like us on a podcast. All of a sudden, we go, "Oh, time's up."
Yeah, I know.
And our head's still going. We've both got about 4 or 5
so
tips
much more
each.
to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why at the end of every it's pretty much every podcast, I'm like, oh, well, if you want some more, just let us know if you want a step 2 on this, because I've got a lot more ideas. But it is that it's finding that. But one of the other tips I just want to bring in just straight from that before Moira doesn't get a chance to do her first tip, is stories. And because we talked about comparisons, and if you spot it, you got it. Be cautious of your stories. And I've been saying this seem to me more and more. Your stories are those stories that you had growing up that people have said to you. And I want to be firm on this, that your stories are not your beliefs. They're just a story. And all stories, we talked about it on one of our group calls, as a choose your own adventure book. I think I've talked to you about this. Have I talked to you about this, Moira?
No,
when you get to the end of it, do you have this overseas?
Yes, I
when
know
you
what
get
you
to the
mean.
end of your chapter and it goes, walk
The
down the
different
path,
potential
Yes.
outcomes. Which one do you want to go down?
I grew up with those books and they were cool. And that's when I think about a story. When I hear a client say a story, or a person, or even a story comes up for me, I go, choose my own adventure. It's just a story. It's not a belief. And that just reframing allows me to go, oh, okay, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm doing, and to focus on, again, my value, my self-worth. And when we talk about the comparisons, and then finding where your zone of genius is for that creativity, just knowing that story is not a belief. You're not dumb, you're not creative. It's just in your area what it works. So choose your own adventure. If you want to go down that path, or if you want to stop and pick the flowers in your storybook, but they are just stories that can be changed, that movable. Pivot.
Oh, one of Deb's favorite words, pivot.
Yep. Now I'll let you do your tip, Moira.
Oh, I've been making tips all the way through.
Okay.
Do you know, I was just thinking about what you were saying about story, though. I have a client who, and it's kind of fun, she's in one of my group programs. And so she'll come and she'll start describing a big problem that she has. And the amount of times that she does this, and she's describing the whole discombobulation and palaver that might be, and then there seems to be a point where she stops and goes,
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm making up a story, aren't I?
I love that.
It's a story I'm telling myself.
How beautiful she can recognize that. And
Yeah, I
often
know. It's so much
it's
fun.
it's only often when you say it all aloud and you're like, blah, 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 and then you're like, oh,
Oh,
I just heard it.
oh,
Okay,
yeah, I
I'll
just
just be
heard those
quiet
words.
now. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it is. We'll see, that's even just brain dumping.
Yeah. Well, that's a
Getting
really
it
good tip to have right in here, brain dumping.
getting it all out of your head.
Yeah. And so this is fun. This is funny because Deb and I met outside of one of our podcasts. In our podcast episode, we talked in huge detail about the brain dumping. And then we were having this completely different conversation, not a podcast. And I said, I have this great idea for you, Deb. Brain dumping is such an important piece, I don't know about you, but sometimes we can get so caught up in the what about this and what about this, and I have to get this done and I have to do this, and I've let somebody down over here and I got to attend to that, but
And
when
that all comes from our stories too. That's our whole.
yeah, it does. Yeah.
Oh, I've let someone down last time, so now I'm just going to make sure I keep going with no sleep until it's done. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, there's a couple of pieces in here, I think, that can come through this brain dumping. And what we're talking about, listeners, in this idea of brain dumping is write down everything that's in your head. Everything. I have to do this and I should do this and I wanted to do that and I didn't do that and I ran late over there and I dropped the ball over here and whatever it is, write them all down. And there are times, depending on how much you've written, sometimes I encourage people to walk away from that list and sleep on it. Just
Yeah.
like really distance yourself from it. Sometimes you can just, write it all down and go for a walk. I might do that. I'll just, go for a walk, go and stand at the end of the the road here and listen to the sound of the ocean. That'll cleanse and clear my energy to then come back and have a look at what is on that list. And it's kind of interesting the amount of times that you kind of come in and say, is that true? Do I have to do that? Is it relevant? Deb, interject your 4Ds here.
The 4Ds, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, you either do it or you defer it, which means
don't do it. I put it off.
Yeah,
set a
delay
different
it.
timeline.
Yeah, do it, defer it, delegate it, but only delegate to somebody who loves to do the job, because otherwise it's going to cause more of a head chaos for you, them, and anyone else involved. Do it, defer it, delegate it, or dump it.
Yep.
And dump it means just cross it off the list.
Yep.
But if you're going to defer it, just ensure you put in your diary and you do it. Don't just defer it and defer it and defer it. Yeah. Set that intention that's going to get done. But the 4Ds are just, when I think about the brain
4Ds.
dumping,
I think it's funny because sometimes, and I have a little bit of an unwritten rule on that defer it, because I will sometimes defer it and carry it forward. I think on the third one, I have to recognize it's a dump. It's a dump one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because there's something animating that and saying I need to do it, but there's maybe not any connection or resonance with it. And so it's like maybe it's a thing of me saying I should do it. But the other piece that I was just thinking,
I think there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with dumping it or delegating it or deferring. And I think that's the other thing is there's nothing wrong. If you just want, after the third time, you're like, okay, I've tried to defer it and now, okay, I just need to let it go.
Yeah.
That's okay. Like, that's okay, that decision.
But this is what I was going to try and say, is that those 4Ds are so important because it boosts your self-worth. You are worthy of that type of assessment. And to your point, you're also worthy of saying, yeah, I thought it was, but it's not resonating. So dump it.
Yeah.
And so that's sometimes too, is that we can watch ourselves if your languaging is, yeah, but I should. Yeah, but I should do this. Then there's something missing, right? Because you're actually what's the word? It's not boosting, the opposite of boosting.
Deflating.
Coming down, compressing. shutting down your self-worth. Because this also too, and this would be another tip that I want to bring in here too, is to always remember your own requirement for being and doing, right? So when we do a brain dump, we're acknowledging that we're not always required to be on and doing and hustling and pushing and forcing and accomplishing, running. We all need our own measure of just being, just focusing on our breath, just doing that which feels comforting and soothing and balancing and allows you to contemplate, like, where are you? Who are you? What is the driving force behind what it is you want to do or don't do, right?
Yeah, which makes me think, you know, the to boost your self-worth, and I'm going to say live in the present. Now, even when I say live in the present, that can be overwhelming for people. That can be, oh yeah, but I've got to do this and I've got to do this later today, and then next week I've got to, like, so just listen to me, people. There's things that you can say here, because I think that I go, just for today. And Moira's taught me this, and I love it. Just for today, I'm going to be impeccable with my word. Suppose put the 4 agreements in. Just for today, I'm going to assess and not say yes to everything. Just for today, I'm going to
be kind
put some
to
time
myself.
put some time in my diary to do some self-care. And do it, not just block it out in my diary, but actually do it. Just for today. And even just just for today allows you to be present.
It does.
And just feel with that. And if you can pull yourself back, because even be present, like, oh yeah, but I've got this thing, and I don't know if I took the meat out for the fridge, and you know, there's this whole marathon of thoughts that we have. But if you can just go to be present, it's just for today. It just allows you to go, okay, this is really achievable. It's like breaking down your action steps.
But
and that I guarantee will raise your self-worth.
Definitely. But the other part of all of this is, just because these thoughts are racing through your head, is you're not your thoughts, and you don't have to believe them or even listen to them.
No.
So this actually, my tip here would be gratitude. To have some gratitude, and some appreciation for that super critical, hypercritical, judgy voice that's kind of got, but yeah, you got to do this and you got to do this and you got to. Thank you, all in good time. All everything's gonna flow in my day. Just for today, I'm just gonna focus on the flow and the best way forward, and what's the next step, because sometimes when we get too much into, oh, but I have to remember this and I have to remember, yes, but right now, what is it all you have to do? Oh, right now I just have to brush my teeth.
Yeah.
Good. Let's just focus on brushing our teeth.
Just for today, I'm going to brush my teeth. Okay.
No, but you get what I'm saying, is that sometimes
yes.
those types of things are coming up when you're doing something more mundane. Maybe you're making your cup of tea, or you're starting up your day, and you've already run like hours into your day saying, oh, I have to do this at 2 o'clock in this afternoon, I have to do this, and then at 4 I have, like, none of that's here right now, right?
Well, I think yeah, and just with you just saying that, I wrote down be realistic. And because, you know, gratitude's my favorite. But be realistic to your actions and decisions and your time frames. Be realistic to other people's actions, decisions, and time frames. Be realistic to the world's actions, decisions, and time frames. But be realistic, and also know that nothing's set in concrete. You know, I do bring back that word pivot, but be realistic that if you want to get this done by 5 o'clock today, what action steps need to be done? If you want to shift your mood, like, be realistic. Don't just go, okay, well, I've got financial problems, I know if I pray I'm going to get a check for $1 million tomorrow. No, well, it might, but be realistic for whatever's going on in your mind. And that's realistic to your human nature and to society as well. Don't think society or people are going to choose you over them. Be realistic.
Be realistic, but with a caveat, I would say.
Yeah, I'm all for a caveat.
Well, because the thing is that to me, being realistic is going to be a little bit caught up in the logical mindset. And I like to think into the intuitive piece too. So it's like being realistic, it doesn't mean that you have to have tangible evidence for everything that you're going to say, I'd like this to happen. So it's like
No.
following the flow and balancing this is actually going
Yeah, it's
back to
not
balancing the being and doing part.
Yeah, it's not holding on tight to it has to be this way, it's the only way. Like,
Yeah.
have that. Just I'm moving.
Yeah,
Just
she is.
like I am.
Swaying
I'm just
back and
going.
forth.
I'm just sort of going. Just flow. Like, just
Yeah.
know that. Just know that wobbles will happen for you and others.
Yep.
Just know that society. You want to go out and mow your lawns, and today it's raining. Okay, well I can't do that. Like, be realistic. If you want to set the day to do the garden, be realistic and make sure that the weather's going to be right for you. Like, just be realistic to. I don't know, human nature, feelings, emotions, life.
So I like this though, because the thing is that that's a good example. So if you say, tomorrow I'm going to cut my grass, I'm going to mow the lawn, then tomorrow it's pouring rain. Okay, I guess I'm not mowing my lawn. I choose to do such and such. I'm choosing to do the inside tasks.
Yeah.
And so rather than saying be realistic, it's saying, yes, if I had my druthers, I'd cut my grass. But then it's like rolling with what happens. And
okay, that's a nicer way of saying it, actually.
Not getting upset or angry. Because sometimes this idea of being realistic can create this sense of rigidity of like, it was realistic for me to set this goal or to set that in motion. It's like, yes, but it's about allowing yourself to roll. By all means, set the goals and the intentions. But then
it's the old nothing set in concrete. Yes. And when I think realistic, it does say it sounds like a masculine here. Be realistic. Be realistic.
Yeah. Be
Mum
logical.
saying,
be rational.
Yeah, that's it. I can hear my parents actually say that. Be realistic, Deborah. Okay, Mum. So it does have that little caveat to it, but it is that just you're right. It's a flow. It's a flow, and know that things can change. We talk about our pens at the start. That makes so much sense because if you've had a sleep, you're not going to be on the ball first thing.
Yeah.
Or, it's going to take you a little bit of time to get through whatever you've got to get through. So it is that be realistic, but maybe, be rigid. I was just saying, stop being so rigid. Flowing, flow.
This has made me realize that this is something else that you and I talk a lot about. It's actually trust.
Oh, of course. I was like, what? When she said that, I'm like, what do we always talk about? Surprise.
Ta-da! No, you see, if in this idea of this being realistic, we could, how you said about the, I'm going to pray and dream up and visualize $1 million coming into my bank account.
And I would say that's ridiculous.
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
I would say that's ridiculous, but to somebody that might be true because there might be something happening. But my head goes, that's ridiculous, Deborah.
Yes, but the thing is that I think it's great to have those kind of dreams, and they feel fun, uplifting. But it doesn't mean I'm going to sit in the couch and wait for it to happen,
Yeah.
because I'm going to trust that if that is meant to happen, it will.
Yes.
Right. But I trust that I'm going to follow the path, follow my inner guidance, follow the intuitive hits, follow the emotions, follow the directions that my heart guidance will allow me. Right. So it's like that would be, I'd say, is the caveat about the being realistic, is that I can set up, what we're saying about tomorrow I'm going to cut the grass. I'm not really, but and then it's
I'm
pouring
not
a
either.
rain.
I'm not either.
Then you trust that the when you come to that time that you said you're going to do such and such, that you're not going to be sitting there twiddling your thumbs and saying, well, I can't do it now, so the whole day is gone to hell in a handbasket. Because it's like, no, I trust that I am in the right place at the right time, always.
Well,
always
I think that
in
jumps
the right
back to
place
being
at the right
present
time.
as well, isn't it?
Definitely.
Being present, going, okay, well, yeah. I was going to say, don't be stupid. Boost your self-worth. Don't be stupid. Stop the stupid talk, people. But that's not going to help you.
No.
But I will say a tip is choose your words.
Oh,
And
that's so important.
And
yeah,
it's whether it's internal, because if you're saying it internally, by the way, the universe hears you. If you
yes,
say
it
it
does.
externally, the universe hears you. And if you don't say it, think it, but then cancel it.
Cancel.
That's the only way you can get it.
Yep.
When you say those words and then you go cancel, it's a fun way of pulling yourself up. So listen to your words, listen to your body language, watch your body language, read the room, read your own room, if that was it. But choose your words with love.
Yeah,
for
with
yourself.
love. Like, so that's the inner dialogue. That's a Brene Brown, isn't it? Brene Brown quote. Talk to yourself as you would somebody you actually love.
Yeah, I don't follow Brene Brown. It's something she grinds me. It's really interesting. I look and I go, I know, it's funny. But it is. If you talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend, your friend would have skinned you alive. Like some of the words we say to ourselves, you know. But it is choose your words and with love.
With love. And that is essential to boosting your self-worth. Because if we talk to ourselves about, oh, I'm stupid, I suck, I'm an idiot, I dropped the ball over here, what's wrong with me, I always do it this way. Well, that really tanked all sense of self-worth right there. And you haven't even uttered a word out loud.
No, and you're on a whole marathon and you can't. And when you hear yourself do that, you're like, oh, what's the point in even doing anything today? And you actually have to literally hit a brick wall to pivot yourself back. So you actually have to pull yourself out of it. The moment you start, don't let it continue. Actually stop. Put your hand on your heart. Go back and go.
Yep.
And even just the hand on the heart takes you out of that headspace. Hand on, oh, you're so stupid. And the old marathon mouth runs. Hand on heart. Oh, I think I just hit my microphone then. I've got this. I live here. Decisions in my heart. Take a big deep breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth, or in through your nose, out through your nose. Like it's no biggie. Or in through your mouth, out through like just put your hand on your heart is the main thing and just start to breathe. And that alone just, to me, can raise my self-worth steps very quickly. Ground yourself, remind yourself you live here. And that is that trust comes back to, but choosing your words with love.
And also recognize, because this is actually interweaving with what we talked about prior about stories too. Because sometimes we can start along a train of thought and all of a sudden we're like at age 12 when we handed in an assignment late or something, right? Because unchecked, that is what's going to happen. Because it leads, like one critical thought will jump to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And we all do that. our minds are wired that way because subconsciously it's a pattern trying to keep us safe, trying to keep us safe, trying to make us look good in the eyes of other people around us, trying to help make sure that we feel like we belong, that we're of contribution. So that's where it's coming from. That's the motivational force behind that judgy blah, blah, blah. So that's where I'm coming from when I say, can we have some gratitude for it? Thank you, inner dialogue that's just beating me up or running a mile a minute. Thank you. And because those dialogues or those conversations, they may well have suited a certain chapter or a certain paradigm you were in, but they're not relevant here and now. So when we say thank you and acknowledge it, it actually starts to dial the volume down. Because the truth of it is we will never stop our thinking process. The mind thinks. That's it. I'm a long-time meditator and a long-time meditation teacher. There's still people that think that meditation is no thought, and it's not. Meditation is witnessing thought, not getting carried away by thought. Well, actually, you still do get carried. Sorry, you still do get carried away by thought, but it's about making the commitment to keep coming back to your breath, and then you get carried off
that's
again.
living.
And
that's
okay.
living in the present, isn't it? Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the tips. I know we're coming up time. We've got a couple more minutes, so good luck to us getting all our another 10 tips in here. But one of the tips I actually want to say is you're not alone. You're not alone on this journey. Even people who live in a house on their own and they're like, no one, I don't even want to talk to. You're not alone. You're listening to this podcast. You're not alone in your self-worth journey, in your life journey. No one is alone here. We can tap into people. They may not physically have people around, but you can tap into people energetically. You can listen, as right now you're listening to our podcast, whether you've downloaded it or not, or you're just listening to it. Like, we're here for you. This is what we do.
And a boost of self-worth is reaching out sometimes, right?
Then the other thing is recognizing that there's a wobble happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's no, if you're sitting in the present and the wobble's happening, the wobble's just going to keep going if you're just not going to do anything. So please reach out to Moira or I, because you're not alone in this journey.
Another tip that I want to bring in, and it's a wee bit related to what you were just saying, but it's about responsibility. Responsibility is one of my favorite words. A lot of people think that I'm crazy for this one, but
no, we don't think you're crazy at all, Moira.
Or not, at least you wouldn't say it to my face. I know that.
Yeah. No, I'd never say it to your face. Yeah.
See, responsibility is that I like to think of that word as we all have the ability to respond. So we all have the ability to respond to the thoughts that we're having, the words we're using, the environment we're in, the choices we make. And so if things are not evolving the way that you would like, you can actually take a moment, put your hands on your heart and say, my life, my responsibility. I get to choose something different. I can actually reframe, flow in a different direction, set different intentions, reach out for help if you need to, if you're feeling stuck or in a funk. But because reaching out for help is actually being responsible in itself. It's not saying, oh, I can't handle this. It might be that I need to reach out and say, hey, can you hold space for me to riff through this idea and get some clarity, right?
Even just the responsible, I go back to my parenting days. Be responsible for your actions and decisions, and that can be a very heavy one. So it is that be responsible, and just don't avoid it, because it just accumulates.
Yeah.
That's like that's it. But you have to be responsible for your own situation, not why you're in that situation, but the why question there. But you have to be responsible to who you are right here, right now. You're the ones who's chosen who has chosen that chapter to turn left or chosen that chapter to turn right. And every decision you make is for your best interest right here, right now. and you can't change your past. You definitely can't change your past,
Mm-mm.
but you can be aware of it, and that is be responsible for your actions and decisions. I like that. I
But I
like that.
think that where I'm coming from with that responsible is it's an empowerment. It's not
Mm.
a
Oh,
heaviness, right?
oh, yeah, no, not heaviness. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's like actually I get to choose this. I get to,
Yes.
and Moira's favorite word is choose. I get to choose this today. What am I
Yes.
choosing today? Even just those, which is our words we use to ourselves, are
Mhm.
vital. Now, I know we did say we were cutting off, and we're cutting it off because we're going to get ourselves into trouble with our
With the
podcast
podcast
people.
gods.
Yeah, that's it. The powers of be. So we're going to wrap this up, which is our boosting our self-worth with steps to recognizing your value. And we said grab a note-taking device, I'm sure. I can't remember Moira saying,
I
but I'm
did. I
sure she
said
would.
it.
Yeah,
I
she
did
did.
say
Yeah,
it.
she
I did.
did say it. So if you didn't listen, people, you didn't listen to her, be responsible and grab one now. Thank you. And we're just going to go through these as quick as we can to give you the tips summing up
Mhm.
for this. The first one is, what's the first one, Maura? Oh,
To
do you want
watch
to start?
comparisons.
Yeah. Ugh,
Yeah.
comparisons.
Watch comparisons. That's why we had lots of different pieces to bring that, but
Yeah,
I liked
yeah.
it when you said spot it, you got it. But you
Mm,
know, spot it, you got it applies to that which you don't like, but also that which you do like.
yeah.
I just think that's such an important reminder because I
Mm,
find that people take on the spot it, you got it for the things they don't like, but they forget when it's the things they do like, they got it too.
yeah, it is that. And we did talk about creativity as an example,
Mhm.
and it was relative to you. You got to remember when if you spot it, you got it, it's relative to you. So where's your creativity?
Yeah, your
Maybe
zone
it's,
of genius.
yeah, in your zone of genius. That's important.
Mhm.
The next one I had was stories.
Mhm.
Stories, and knowing that stories are not beliefs. They're just
Yeah.
a story, and that's where you can change. Choose your adventure was the
Yeah,
book.
I know. I love that. Choose your own adventure.
I know, how cool is that? Just even saying that's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's an adventure. Life
Yeah.
is an adventure.
It's a game.
It's only when we get older we go, oh, you can't do that. Can't choose your adventure. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Absolutely.
But knowing that those stories are just stories and you can change them at any time.
Yeah.
That's all there is to.
Yeah.
That one. Stories. Yep.
The next tip led on from that. That's when we were talking about brain dumping, because sometimes when we have too many stories going that kind of
Mhm.
looping and feel a bit too heavy, brain dumping, and then that in itself is boosting your self-worth because you are
Mm.
worthy of cleansing out that thinking process. And then that's when we talked about Deb's 4Ds, where you choose to defer it,
Do
dump
it.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
do it,
Or
defer it, delegate, or dump.
perfect.
I got them.
I'm just gonna say perfect. Moira got it for once. And usually she's the one, I'm the one who has to write down all her quotes. Well done, Moira. But even just that brain dumping, just
Yeah.
knowing that,
Yeah.
even if if you were a 10 at the start with your pens, even just going, oh, I'll brain dump this. I guarantee that number from 10 will shift to a
Yeah. Yeah.
or a 9. Just even going,
Or
oh,
even
I'll brain
further.
dump.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
literally, it's going to just from that, the
Yep.
brain dump. The next one I had, which was just being, which is I've written down your own requirement for this. Now, I actually was hoping Moira was going to describe this game because when she wrote it, when she said it, I was like, oh my God, that's great. And then I went, oh, I've got to write that note down. So I listened to Moira. I didn't write the note. So I'm going to throw that back to Moira there. All I've written down is your own requirement for this, just being.
Well,
That was
good for
mine.
you. So
So
what
it
I talked
means,
about was finding your best way of being and doing, because we are all wired in different ways. So for some people, they like to be really active. Like I do human design with my clients, and with human design, there are a percentage of the collective who have a defined sacral chakra. They want to be doing a lot because they have a lot of life force energy. I don't, by the way. So I have to be I have to have more being time than somebody who does have a defined sacral, because they already have that energy. So that's where I'm coming from about really tapping into your own awareness. How much sleep do you need? How much downtime do you need? Do you need to meditate for 20 minutes, or does 2 minutes do you just fine? Each one of us have to really get in touch with what is your balance of being and doing. And you are worthy of the attention, the dedication to finding what that is for you. And it will shift and change throughout different seasons of our life. It shifts and changes.
And that's Moira summed up that tip. No way I would have got that one. Again, I didn't write any notes. I just listened and went, yeah, that's exactly it. That is exactly it.
Well, you can do the next one, because this was the one you did anyway.
Oh, be present.
Yeah.
Be present, yeah. But which came just from that being and doing was be present. And one of the beautiful ones I had is just for today.
Just for today. I love
just
that
for
one.
today, I'm going to do this. Just for today, I'm going to be impeccable with my word. Just for today, I'm going to say no to everybody. Just for be realistic, people. Just for today. And that is about being present. That is just about being present with the flow. And if you can do that just for today, it allows you not to think about tomorrow.
Yep.
Or
and
the week
remembering
after.
you are worthy of really dedicating to just for today. I don't have to witter or worry about tomorrow or the next day, because they're not here.
They're just for today. I'm going to focus on today. Yeah.
The next one I had here was gratitude.
Sorry.
Feeling grateful and having appreciation for the dialogue in your head. You know, if you didn't get yourself tapped into the just for today, let's say, and you're hurrying through your day, and your little inner critic is going, well, that sucked, or that wasn't good enough, or just say thank you to it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I get that you're trying to help me look good or help me recognize my value, but I'm good. I recognize my value right here, right now. I'm good. And when we have gratitude, or we just acknowledge that dialogue, it tends to dial the volume down.
Yeah.
Right?
Instantly. Boom.
Yeah. Just bring that down.
Yeah. And I'll just add just for today. The next one I had was the wording be realistic. And which goes more into the flow.
Yes.
Be realistic with the actions and steps, that things are on the way, not in the way, but be realistic to the timeframes, because if you're going to say, I'm going to do this by the end of today, and you don't, your self-worth will 100% be affected because you don't get it done. You're instantly going to go, oh, how did I not do that? What did I muck around in? This was really important. So be realistic to your timeframes, other people's timeframes, life's timeframes, but be realistic to what feels right for you, and know that you can put in an eraser and you can rub it out and change it at any time. It's nothing set in concrete.
No, I like that. And that's because we actually unpacked this being realistic, because I had a wee bit of resistance to that one. But that's when we were talking about trust, because I brought that in as a tip in itself.
Trust is a whole tip on its own. Yeah.
Because trusting that in your example of that, if I set a goal by the end of today, such and such is going to happen, and it doesn't, I'm not going to beat myself up or even let my self-worth take a knock for that, because I'm going to trust it wasn't meant to happen today.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's kind of was my caveat on that being realistic, is I'm doing the best I can with my own bandwidth, with what's going on around me, with the things that come up. Right.
Yeah. The word rigid came up for me when we're saying, don't let yourself be rigid. Be flexible. You know, when I say be flexible and just flow, and this doesn't work. Okay, I'm going to change it. Like that, not just be real. You don't have to sit in your masculine brain when I say be realistic. Like what Moira said, and it is that flow, that feminine energy. Okay, I've got this, which goes back to the trust. Yeah, totally.
Yep.
The next one I had here was choose your words. And I get to do this today, or I'd love to do this, or I choose to do this. And just those words alone have a massive shift in our psyche, in our body. And we have a perk in our step, our self-worth, our shoulders go back. Just, oh, I get to choose to do this today, or I'm choosing this.
Yep.
Is
And
another
always remember cancel, cancel, cancel if you need to.
Yes. Yes, that's the one. But if you're going, oh, I can't believe I'm so stupid and I've done this to that, just choose those words with love and
Yeah.
nurture to yourself.
Yeah. Cancel, cancel, cancel.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, cancel, cancel, cancel.
Well, that was when I said, and that quote, and I do believe it is a Brené Brown quote where she said, "Talk to yourself as you would someone you love."
Mm-hmm. That's important. That is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. That then took us right into hand on heart. And because that is something that's so important to actually come back in, step back into your worthiness. You are worthy of just landing in your heart. And you can say, I live here, I operate from here, I've got this. All is well in my world. Those types of things, and focus on your breath while you're doing it. I don't know about you, but anytime I put my hand on my heart, there's an immediate warmth, which immediately
instantly
takes me into, oh yes, there, I'm loved, I'm protected, I'm seen, I'm worthy, I'm okay.
I think the beautiful thing I love about hand on heart is if somebody challenges you out in public, you don't have to try and put the poker face on it. You don't have to try and be anybody. You just I instantly just put my straight into my hand on heart.
Yeah,
and
me
it
too.
just goes, oh, I've got this. And there's just that sense of trust, belief, certainty in myself, but totally just hand on
And it
heart.
calms
I
your
live
nervous
here.
system. That's why I really like it, is because this actually helps access your vagus nerve, which really calms your nervous system. Very important.
Yeah. The next one is you are not alone. And when I say you're not alone, you're not alone in this. You don't have to be somebody, you don't have to do anything on your own. You don't have to try and put a persona on to get through with this. You're not alone. Moira and I are here. Other people are around for you, 100%. Just ensure that their motive is for the best for you without their own past stories, which is Moira and I have our own. When we're talking to you, we're there for you. What's best for you that you believe.
100%,
We're not here to tell you to swipe left and you want to swipe right. We're not here to convince you to do anything. We're here to guide you with your heart. So you're not alone in this process. At any steps all the way through, you've got hand holding.
Yep, most definitely.
Yep.
And then the last tip that I had here was the responsibility. One of my favorite words. I have lots of favorite words. Responsibility. I really encourage people to see that responsibility is an empowerment. It's a gift. It's an ability to respond to everything in your life. Respond to the thoughts that are coming up, the ideas that are coming up, the choices that you've made, the choices that you haven't yet to make. That it's always a gift. And with responsibility, even if you feel really stuck and you don't know which way to turn, and you ask for help, it's still your responsibility. Like you're allowing somebody to hold space for you, maybe, or to suggest things or tips. That's the work that Deb and I do. We mentor and suggest tips, but it's still your responsibility to action them and put these things into place and move forward, right?
And if any of these tips don't work, don't use them.
Yeah,
if they don't work or they make you feel, oh, I can't do that.
discombobulated.
Yeah. Then that's fine. Just go,
Right,
okay, I'm
they're
not
not
going
for
to use
you.
that. It's totally okay. You won't offend us.
Nope.
You won't offend yourself. Like, we are here to give you the best opportunity we can with what you've got.
Yep. Meet you where you are.
Yeah, totally. Boosting self-worth.
Awesome tips.
So at the start we were a particular number, and which was our PEMS, and then at the halfway point we checked in and we checked where we were, and now at the end we trust that we got you closer to the zero, if not the zero. So let us know where you were at the start, let us know where you were halfway, and let us know where you are at the end. Moira and I were both 1.5. I have a feeling I know where she is now.
Snap.
What number are you, Moira?
I'm 0.
Yeah.
I
Same.
didn't even have to mute myself once to cough. That was pretty cool.
I had to mute because I'm literally doing this podcast from the bed in New Zealand, and
Surrounded by puppies.
I've got 2 dogs who keep making little noises, who are rolling all over the place. I'm like, oh, please last, please last. That's how I've been going through the whole time. So I'm a 0 now, knowing it's ending, and I'm not having to worry about
And
that.
they
So
didn't disturb us.
No, I was muting a few times for them as they're like, oh, this is so early in the morning. They're very cute, very, very cute. So, but I'm a 0 too. And this literally, the intention of our podcast is to take you to the 0. Now, knowing that you can't live in the 0 all the time, but we can take you there, and you can get that feeling of, oh, I'm in the present. This is where I am right now. Now, we can
Surrounded
get
by
off
this love blanket.
Yes. And we can get off this podcast and something can happen to us straight away, and it can take us to a 10 or beyond.
Yep.
And that's human nature. And that's that. Be realistic. That life happens. Things do happen for us. So thank you, listeners, for joining. If you liked this, the next step is actually to share this. Open this conversation with other people, not necessarily the ones that you perceive are broken. But anyone who you love and care about, that you'd like to share some stuff with. Share these tips. So we talked today about boosting self-worth and the steps to recognize your value. We trust that you got a lot of information from that. And the next step is to share this and bring this in with those you love and open that conversation, because that's what life's all about.
Definitely.
So thank you, listeners. Thank you, Internet. Thank you, Moira. And thank you to my 2 dogs. And we trust you got some value, and we will enjoy knowing that you're listening to us on our next podcast, which will come out next week, or jump back and listen to one of our old ones.
Yeah.
Thank you, Moira. Thank you,
Debz.
listeners. Thanks.
Thank you, listeners. Talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.